did you get to be with Dustin Johnson this day on November 17th, 2021?
Uh, we knew that, they had hit on Dolphin them head or whatever, so
Who had a hit on whose head?
Big Jug had a hit on Dolph head or whatnot, so
How do you know that Big Jug had a hit on Dolph's head?
but Quit had told me about it, Quit, and you know what I'm saying, being just
How much money was it supposed to be?
100,000.
The tension in the visiting room was thicker than steel. Everyone knew the moment had been coming, but nobody expected it to explode like this. Yo Gotti had been holding his emotions in check for months, watching, waiting, thinking about the day he'd finally face the man responsible for his brother's death. And that day, it had arrived. The killer sat there, smug, unaware of what was about to hit him. Yo Gotti's eyes locked on him, burning with a mix of grief, rage, and cold calculation. No cameras could capture the storm inside his mind. Every inch of him screamed for justice, street justice, the kind that couldn't be bought, bargained, or hidden behind bars. The moment the sentencing was read, something snapped. Security barely had time to react. Yo Gotti moved with lightning speed, his hands striking first. The room erupted into chaos, screams, shouts, the metallic clatter of struggle. Everyone around could only watch as the fury of a brother's loss exploded into action. This wasn't just a prison fight. This was a statement. A warning to anyone who thought consequences could be avoided. Yo Gotti had made it clear, cross family, and there's no forgiveness. Streets or cells, he doesn't wait. Social media instantly caught fire. Clips leaked. Fans debated. Some hailed it as a move of loyalty and respect. Others questioned the chaos it unleashed. But one thing was undeniable. Yo Gotti's rage had reached its breaking point, and nobody in that visiting room would ever forget it. When justice and vengeance collide, only one thing is certain. The streets are watching, and the message is clear: family comes first, and betrayal is met with consequences. The air in the visiting room was suffocating, every sound amplified. The metal chairs clinked against the floor as guards shifted nervously, unsure of how tense the moment had become. Yo Gotti didn't notice. His focus was locked entirely on the man sitting across from him, his brother's killer. Every second that had passed since the trial and sentencing had been a slow burn, building rage and grief inside him. And now, with the court's decision echoing in the room, the time for waiting had ended. The killer shifted slightly, a smirk on his face that only fueled Yo Gotti's fury. "You think you're untouchable?" Gotti muttered under his breath, low enough that only he could hear. He didn't wait for an answer. Years of pain, every sleepless night, every tear shed for his brother, it all surged forward, a wave of raw, unstoppable emotion. "Security," one guard whispered nervously, sensing the storm brewing. But it was already too late. Gotti's movements were precise, controlled, and deadly. In one swift motion, he lunged, closing the distance between him and the man who had shattered his family. The room erupted into chaos immediately. Shouts, screams, and the metallic ring of panic filled the air. Other inmates in nearby visiting areas froze, some craning their necks to watch the explosive confrontation. The killer tried to react, but Gotti's fury was faster, fueled by a lifetime of injustice. Every strike, every motion, every action was a statement. He wasn't just attacking a man. He was reclaiming honor, reclaiming vengeance for the brother he had lost. Security rushed in, trying to separate them, but Gotti's energy was relentless. Every second of hesitation from the guards allowed him to make his point. This wasn't just a fight. This was a message to anyone who thought they could harm his family and escape consequences. The room became a blur of movement, shouts, and fear, with every person present aware they were witnessing something extraordinary. The killer's smugness vanished within moments, replaced by panic and disbelief. He had underestimated the depth of Yo Gotti's rage, the fire that burned from personal loss. Every punch, every shove, every calculated move by Gotti told the story of a brother who refused to let injustice go unpunished. Outside the visiting room, word of the incident spread quickly. Guards called for backup. Other inmates whispered rumors, and within hours, social media was ablaze. Fans and followers debated fiercely, some praising Gotti for his loyalty to family, others warning about the chaos unleashed in a controlled environment. Clips from the prison cameras began to leak, capturing the intensity of the moment and sending the streets into a frenzy. Inside the room, Gotti finally stepped back, breathing heavily, but eyes still locked on the man across from him. The killer was on the ground, stunned, barely comprehending what had just happened. "This is for my brother," Gotti said coldly, voice carrying across the room. "Never forget it." Silence fell, but it was heavy, loaded with tension. Everyone present knew the gravity of the act, not just a physical assault, but a symbolic declaration. Yo Gotti had sent a message that day: cross family and pay the price. The guards quickly moved in to separate the two men, but Gotti's focus never wavered. Every movement, every glance, every breath was controlled. He understood that once the violence ended, the consequences would begin. This wasn't just about revenge, it was about narrative, reputation, and dominance, even behind bars. News outlets quickly picked up the story. Tweets, Instagram posts, and TikTok videos spread like wildfire. Fans replayed clips of the incident, analyzing every punch, every motion, every word. Discussions erupted online, debating morality, loyalty, and the extreme measures Gotti had taken for justice. The streets buzzed with anticipation. What would happen next? Who would respond? How would the prison administration handle such a brazen act of retribution? Meanwhile, inside the prison, the ripple effects were immediate. Other inmates whispered about the display of power, the sheer force of Gotti's wrath. Respect for him surged, even among those who had previously doubted him. Enemies reconsidered their positions. Allies nodded in understanding. The confrontation had shifted the balance of perception. Gotti wasn't just a rapper, he was a man who upheld family honor above all, even in a controlled, high-risk environment like prison. Hours later, after the chaos subsided, Gotti sat alone in his cell, replaying the confrontation in his mind. The adrenaline had faded, leaving only the sharp edge of grief and a solemn satisfaction. Justice had been served in his eyes, not through the court, but through his own decisive action. Yet he knew this was only the beginning. Stories like these didn't die quietly. They spread, rumors flourished, and the streets demanded more context, more explanation. By nightfall, every major fan page, every gossip outlet, and every social media feed had picked up the incident. Headlines screamed, "Yo Gotti strikes back, brother's killer attacked in prison visiting room, street justice unleashed, Yo Gotti delivers vengeance behind bars." Fans debated fiercely, was it heroism or recklessness? Loyalty or chaos? Every viewpoint sparked discussion, drawing more eyes into the story. Inside the prison walls, Gotti's actions had consequences that extended beyond the immediate fight. Guards increased security measures, monitoring both Gotti and the man he had attacked. Discussions of internal investigations began quietly, but the message was clear to all inmates. Crossing Gotti's family carried a cost. Respect, loyalty, and fear now intertwined in ways that shifted the social hierarchy. Even as he sat alone, Gotti reflected on his brother, on the loss that had fueled every move, every breath, and every strike that day. The act wasn't just physical, it was emotional, symbolic, and deeply personal. It was a declaration to the world: family comes first, and no betrayal would go unanswered. And as whispers of the confrontation spread further, even beyond the prison walls, one undeniable truth emerged. Yo Gotti's retaliation wasn't just a moment of violence, it was a street-level message of loyalty, vengeance, and unyielding family honor. Every clip, every replay, every online discussion ensured that the story would not fade. The streets, the fans, and the public would all remember that day. Because in the world of rap and real-life street codes, there is one rule that surpasses everything else: cross family, and there's no forgiveness. Only consequences. The visiting room fight was over, but the story was just beginning. And everyone watching knew this. Yo Gotti's name would echo through the saga, proving that some vendettas can't wait for justice to arrive. It has to be delivered directly, personally, and with full force. The aftermath of the visiting room attack was immediate and intense. Prison walls that had once felt stable and controlled now seemed alive with whispers, tension, and fear. Every inmate who had witnessed the confrontation, or even heard about it, understood that the balance of power had shifted. Yo Gotti had made it clear, family loyalty came first, and crossing him came at a high cost. Word spread quickly among the inmates. Some were impressed by the precision and intensity of Gotti's actions. Others were cautious, realizing that any move against him could be met with similar ferocity. Whispers turned into stories, and stories turned into legend. By the end of the day, the name Yo Gotti carried a new weight inside those walls. Meanwhile, outside the prison, the storm was just beginning. Social media erupted with leaked clips and eyewitness accounts. Fans and critics alike dissected every second of the confrontation. The streets lit up with debates. Was this heroism? Was it reckless? Was it justice or vengeance? Every post, every tweet, every TikTok reaction added fuel to the fire, making the story explode far beyond the prison walls. News outlets picked up the incident immediately. Headlines screamed, "Yo Gotti delivers street justice behind bars," and "Brothers Killers stabbed in prison visiting room by rapper Yo Gotti." Online commentators speculated about the fallout, debating whether this would trigger gang-related retaliation or spark further violence. The incident had become a full-blown cultural moment, blending rap beef with real-life stakes. Inside the prison, security tightened. Guards reviewed every surveillance camera, analyzed every angle, and questioned witnesses. But the more they scrutinized, the more they realized something undeniable. Yo Gotti had acted with intention and precision, not recklessness. Every movement, every strike had a purpose. It wasn't chaos, it was calculated revenge. Among the inmates, Gotti's status skyrocketed. Allies saw his loyalty to family as unshakable, while rivals recalculated their strategies. Rumors spread that certain alliances had shifted overnight. People began treating him differently. Respect, fear, and cautious admiration replaced casual interactions. The message was clear: cross family, and there's no forgiveness. Gotti himself spent the hours after the incident reflecting quietly. He replayed every motion, every strike, every reaction. The adrenaline was fading, leaving only the raw weight of grief and resolve. This wasn't about winning a fight. It was about honoring his brother and making a statement that would echo far beyond the visiting room. Outside, social media continued to amplify the story. Clips of the confrontation went viral, trending across platforms. Fans created memes, reaction videos, and analysis threads. Hip-hop communities dissected every detail, praising Gotti's loyalty and precision while debating the morality of his actions. In rap circles, his name became synonymous with street justice, blending his music persona with real-world consequences. The leaked footage was relentless. Every replay showed the controlled fury in Gotti's movements, the shock on the killer's face, and the chaos that erupted around them. Fans began debating the timing, the planning, and the emotional weight behind each action. Some praised the loyalty to family, others warned about the risks of taking justice into one's own hands. Regardless, the buzz was undeniable. Even within the prison, the incident sparked discussions. Other inmates analyzed how Gotti executed the attack, noting his precision, timing, and awareness of surroundings. His reputation grew not just as a rapper, but as someone whose word and actions carried real weight. Stories of his loyalty, courage, and retribution began circulating like wildfire, reinforcing his presence in both the streets and rap culture. Hours later, Gotti's phone, monitored under strict supervision, received waves of messages from trusted contacts outside. They warned him of potential backlash, possible media misinterpretations, and even threats from adversaries. Gotti responded carefully, knowing that while the action had been justified in his eyes, perception could fuel escalation if mishandled. The killer, meanwhile, remained a target of discussion. Security measures were heightened, not just for Gotti, but for him as well. Guards were instructed to separate them during future interactions, and rumors circulated that the man's allies were seeking retaliation. Every movement in the prison was now under careful observation, as the tension between loyalty and revenge reached new heights. By nightfall, the story had reached a fever pitch outside the prison walls. Fans debated endlessly online. Who was right? Who was wrong? Was this justice or overreach? The incident had transcended the prison. It had become a symbolic showdown in the world of rap beef and street loyalty. Gotti himself remained calm. The storm outside could rage, but he knew the most important battle had already been fought, the one of honor, loyalty, and vengeance. He had delivered a clear message: betray family and you face consequences. No courts, no negotiations, no delay. The truth was simple: some debts must be paid directly. Inside, conversations among inmates reflected this shift. Gotti was no longer just a celebrity or rapper. He was a figure whose actions defined loyalty in real terms. Every whisper of his name reminded others that crossing him or his family carried immediate, undeniable consequences. Respect and fear intertwined, creating a new dynamic in the prison hierarchy. Outside, journalists and fans continued analyzing every detail. Some created timelines of the attack, others speculated about Gotti's motivations, and a few warned about potential legal repercussions. But the story continued to grow, fueled by the mix of celebrity intrigue, street codes, and raw emotion. By the end of the day, one fact was indisputable: Yo Gotti's actions had left an indelible mark. The confrontation wasn't just a moment of violence. It was a statement, a message, and a lesson in loyalty, vengeance, and accountability. As night fell over the prison, Gotti reflected on the incident. The adrenaline had faded, the chaos had settled, but the truth remained. He had acted for family, for honor, and for justice. The world outside could debate endlessly, but in the visiting room, in the moment, he had delivered exactly what was necessary. The streets, the fans, and the online world would continue to dissect every clip, every moment, every decision. And one thing was clear: Yo Gotti had set the standard for loyalty and vengeance, blending real-life consequences with the intensity of a rap beef that couldn't be ignored. The story was far from over. Rumors of retaliation, legal consequences, and public commentary promised to escalate further. But for now, the message was simple, sharp, and unforgettable: cross family, and the consequences come fast, direct, and undeniable. The morning after the chaos in the visiting room, the world outside was already in flames. Social media exploded with leaked clips, eyewitness accounts, and heated debates. Fans replayed every second, dissecting every glance, every swing, every word. The story had transcended the prison walls. It had become a viral cultural event, a real-life rap beef playing out before millions. Yo Gotti woke up knowing the storm had only begun. Notifications flooded his phone: tweets, Instagram stories, TikToks, and fan theories. Some hailed him as a hero for avenging his brother. Others condemned the violence. Every angle was being analyzed, debated, and remixed. But Gotti remained calm. He had expected this level of intensity. He knew that when streets, social media, and rap culture collide, there's no turning back. Inside the prison, tension was palpable. Guards enforced stricter security, separating Gotti from the man he had attacked. Inmates whispered about the incident, replaying the fight in their minds, analyzing his strategy, and reassessing their own positions. Allies looked to him with newfound respect. Rivals regarded him with caution. The message was clear: Yo Gotti doesn't wait for justice, he enforces it himself. Meanwhile, the killer was under constant watch, aware that retaliation might still come. The fear in his eyes during the attack hadn't faded, and every guard reminded him of the power he had just faced firsthand. In the confined world of the prison, fear spreads quickly, and word of Gotti's ruthlessness traveled faster than any official announcement. Outside, media outlets jumped on the story. Headlines screamed, "Yo Gotti delivers justice behind bars," and "Brothers Killers stabbed in prison visiting room. Rapper takes revenge." Influencers live-streamed commentary, fans debated morality and loyalty, and the streets buzzed with speculation about potential retaliation. The clash had become more than a personal vendetta, it was now a full-blown public spectacle. Gotti's team outside coordinated carefully, controlling the narrative. Statements emphasized loyalty, family, and the deep personal motivation behind the act. Fans were reminded that this wasn't random violence, it was a calculated, symbolic move to defend family honor. Every clip, every post, every comment ensured that Gotti's story dominated the conversation. By midday, the incident had reached mainstream news cycles. Analysts debated legal implications, moral responsibility, and street code ethics. Rap communities dissected every frame, praising his loyalty while warning about the risks. Online, hashtags related to the incident trended globally. Fans recreated the confrontation in reaction videos, memes, and analysis threads, keeping the story alive and escalating its intensity. Inside the prison, Gotti's influence grew. Inmates who had doubted him before now understood the power of his presence. Respect, fear, and loyalty intertwined, reshaping the hierarchy. Allies sought his favor, adversaries reconsidered their moves. Every conversation reminded the prison population that family loyalty and street justice are not abstract concepts, they have consequences. Even as chaos swirled online and within the prison, Gotti remained composed. He reflected on the confrontation, replaying every moment in his mind. The adrenaline had faded, but the emotional weight of avenging his brother remained. This wasn't about violence, it was about honor, loyalty, and sending a message that transcended both street and celebrity culture. Fans continued to dissect the footage. Every punch, every reaction, every moment of hesitation was analyzed. Some argued it was justice, others recklessness. But one thing was undeniable. Gotti's resolve and the depth of his loyalty were clear. Social media amplified it further, making him a symbol of both vengeance and accountability in the eyes of millions. By evening, the story had taken a life of its own. Online debates raged across platforms. TikToks recreated the moment, Twitter threads speculated about future retaliation, and Instagram memes spread like wildfire. The incident had become a lesson in loyalty, street justice, and consequence, and the public couldn't look away. Inside, Gotti prepared for the aftermath. Legal teams consulted on the incident, prison officials reviewed procedures, and his allies strategized about maintaining influence and safety. Every move was calculated, understanding that while vengeance had been delivered, perception and narrative control were just as critical. The killer remained under strict surveillance. Fear lingered in his demeanor, and he understood that the attack had shifted the balance of power permanently. Inmates who once doubted him now kept their distance, and the story of Gotti's precision and resolve spread like wildfire. The message was loud and clear: betrayal against family has immediate, unavoidable consequences. As night fell, Yo Gotti reflected quietly. The confrontation was over, but the narrative was far from complete. The world outside, the fans, the media, and the streets had all become part of this story. Every reaction, every discussion, every viral clip ensured that the legend of this confrontation would endure. The streets, social media, and rap communities were watching closely. Analysts, fans, and fellow rappers debated endlessly about morality, justice, and loyalty. Some hailed him as a hero defending his family. Others warned of the risks and consequences of taking justice into one's own hands. Yet, in every debate, one truth remained: Yo Gotti had sent a message that would not be forgotten. By the early hours, the incident had firmly cemented itself as more than just a prison fight. It was a cultural moment, blending real-life street codes with rap beef intensity. Loyalty, vengeance, and family honor had collided in one explosive scene, and the story would echo for months to come. Yo Gotti had done more than attack his brother's killer. He had reshaped perception inside prison walls, across social media, and in the streets. Respect, fear, and admiration had intertwined into a narrative he controlled. The act was personal, symbolic, and unforgettable. And as the night grew quiet, one undeniable truth remained: when family is crossed, when betrayal strikes, and when vengeance is demanded, Yo Gotti doesn't wait for justice. He delivers it directly, decisively, and without hesitation. The fight in the visiting room may have ended, but the legend, the viral story, and the lessons about loyalty, consequence, and street justice had only just begun. The world would remember that day, and Yo Gotti's name would echo through the streets, the prison, and rap culture for years to come.